Okay, it's connecting. Yeah,
Yeah,
the push notification has been sent. Okay.
nice, nice. Do you also send it via email or?
No, I just sent, I already sent a couple emails yesterday and earlier today, so I don't want to send too many emails. So,
Yeah,
okay, I think we're live now. Welcome, Claudia. Yeah, we
thank you.
already have people connecting. It's great when it happens. It's always it's the first time. Uh, so, welcome, Claudia. Welcome, everyone who's connecting. I'm Alberto from the Unstoppable Creator, and we have Claudia from Wonder Wealth, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And Claudia is my second guest on this series, I hope, of interviews, of live interviews, and on my podcast, because the recording will go on my podcast. And today we'll talk about Claudia's routines, best practices, habits, mindset tricks to be a writer, to publish consistently, and in her case, uh, build a career on writing, a career that enables you to live abroad and to travel constantly. And we'll start from that. So, uh, before starting with your nomad life, tell us in a couple sentences what are you doing now? Who are you online, first of all, and then we'll go into the details.
Yeah, cool. Thanks so much for having me. I love those live sessions, and for the 15 people who are already here, this is very spontaneous. But it's like we planned this session, but I don't know what questions will be asked.
Yeah.
Really like to chat. So yeah, but happy that you're here and happy that you invited me. So what I do, I mean, on Substack, I pretty much write about how to navigate Substack really well, how to build your audience of free subscribers, of paid subscribers, how to build communities, and eventually how to monetize your writing. Because I actually have a background more in the startup world, in the in economy and in digital health. And last year I attended a few writing meetups, and I was super inspired by seeing like all those people, being really, really awesome and well writers. But one thing that they all struggled with was how to make money from your writing.
Hmm.
And so I started chatting with them and I really got to know, the pain points that they have. And I thought, hey, with my background of, building businesses and doing more marketing and all that side, I can really help the specific group of writers, which is also one of my passions, to, start monetizing their writing. So that's what I do. That's what I started last year, and that's why I'm here.
Okay, perfect. And the juicy part is that now you're living from your writing, as I, or maybe correct me, but it's what I gathered, and you are living abroad with your husband in a van. Tell us this part.
Yeah, he's not my husband. I'm not married yet, but
Ah, okay, your partner. Okay.
yeah, but my partner. Yeah, so actually that was last year. We actually for 2 years we had a. So I'm from Europe. I'm from Germany actually, and we had a camper van and bought a motor home. First time in my life, like really doing like having a van or like living the more camping life. And we bought Starlink, so we had internet everywhere, and so we traveled around Europe and worked from remote places. Uh, and yeah, and kind of really living this more nomad life, and it's going well. I mean, it's really fun to explore and to work at the same time, but making that your lifestyle is really cool.
Yeah, so welcome to all the people that keep connecting. And I want to remind you that you can use the chat and put your questions in for Claudia. And yeah, a couple, when it's time, when it's possible, we'll stop and answer your questions. Uh, so I'm very curious. What is a typical day like? If there is a typical day like in your, if there's a typical day in your life now.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good question. I mean, Do you want me to also talk like more personal things or only like writing and then Substack related things?
I think I want to know both because
Mhm.
sometimes we talk about writing and it seems that and we see someone that publishes constantly and maybe also has clients and products and
Yeah.
we don't realize how long that person spends on the business on the content and so if you know the entire picture it's easier to understand how it works for you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I also, I mean, so I do my writing business, but I also still have a startup, right? That's like a totally different
Ah.
focus, but it's a healthcare focused startup. And I started last year writing because I had to pause a little bit on that startup because we were doing a clinical trial and we had to wait for the results. But I'm still doing that also. So I have a, you know, a little bit of a two-sided focus doing Substack and writing, but then also that. Um, yeah, but other than that, I mean, my typical day, I actually changed it quite recently to have it more. So in terms of Substack, I have it more structured for my paid subscribers because I think one thing on Substack is that you know, with more and more people coming and joining, you really need to kind of create value. I mean, that was obvious from before,
Yeah.
but you need to create more and more value for those subscriptions, right? Because you can read it also everywhere. People are getting more and more tired of subscription based things.
Hmm.
So one part is to build a community, but then also to create routines and valuable routines for your paid subscribers.
To
So
keep them engaged and
exactly.
satisfied basically, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so what I started doing as of last week is that I have actually like more defined weekly things. So for example, on Mondays now for my paid subscribers only, I started offering yeah, like week like let's all plan our week together, let's share our
Mm,
wins. You know, so that we kind of just like get in a workflow where we can support each other and also hold each other accountable for things.
yeah.
Um on Tuesdays, I'm doing a private boost session for my paid subscribers, where you know we support each other's notes and posts. On Wednesdays, we're doing public boosts. So for my free subscribers, I'm doing that, and then Friday, I'm offering like a time window where I offer like ask me anything chats. Um, so really, kind of structuring that value that I offer for
Yeah.
my subscribers. I do this now in a more routine way from Monday to Friday. Um, not sure if I'm going to stick
And
with
this
this
gives you
forever.
a rhythm also to your week. So because
Yeah,
you have to do this almost live, so you have to be there every day.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, there I keep it a little bit more flexible, you know, like I don't tell them an exact time, at least not
Mhm.
yet, unless I do calls. Then, of course, it's like an exact time. But yeah, no, but that's pretty much just like for the Ask Me Anything chat on Friday. I last week it was in the afternoon. Maybe this week I'll do it a bit more early on. I mean, they also know whenever they have something, they can also write me, you know, in private.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that gives it some structure for sure.
Yeah. And how long did you spend on these activities for your subscribers? Yeah, an average. I don't know I don't need to know the exact time. Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I would say maybe an hour a day, something like this.
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe an hour a day for that.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Uh,
it also
and
depends. Yeah.
and when it comes to content, what's your publishing schedule right now?
Yeah, I do Tuesdays and Thursdays. I write my newsletters. 80% I do them free, 20% I do them paywalled.
Paid. Okay.
Um, and yeah, yeah. So that's roughly my structure.
Okay. And so, how long do you spend on your on a single newsletter issue?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it always depends. If it's a topic that I have to do more research on. I mean, for example, this month I will focus more on coaching and coaching calls and consulting and packages around that. And that's a topic where I need to also do more research on and learn more about and so
Mm,
on. So that's going to be newsletters that will take me longer. um, newsletters in the past that I write for Substack, and where I just write like, hey, what I found out, what is helpful for me, maybe like half an hour to an hour. Those don't take so long usually.
To write to completely write a newsletter issue.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean,
It's
really,
quick.
yeah, if it's just from my own experience, then it's so easy to write it up,
Yeah,
you know? And often those are the things that help people the most. When I ran into a trouble and and I can solve it, and then I share it, and that's what people usually find helpful too.
it's great. It's great. And
Yeah.
you spend some time writing notes also, so short form
Yeah.
content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, with notes, it's a funny thing. I mean, I do know that people, there's some people who really plan them ahead and kind of like strategize more on them.
Hmm.
I don't do that. I usually have, if I have a thought during the day and I don't want to post it right away, I write it down somewhere. But most of my notes,
Yeah.
I really just create it in the moment. Like, I don't know if how do you do that? Is that normal? Is this how most people approach it?
Yeah, I know that there are many people that do it. The the luckiest ones have spontaneous thoughts that also are great notes. In
Yeah.
my case, I only post when I have something to say, but then I probably waste too long refining my thought, so it becomes half an article, not in length, but in time, in
Yeah.
time spent.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, no, I think for me, it's really, yeah, I have a thought and I think maybe it's helpful. Maybe not. Sometimes I feel like I also, because it motivates me, I like those motivational quotes and
Mm.
inspirational things.
Okay. Okay.
So I know that if it helps me, I feel like sometimes it can help people too. And then I just, write a lot of notes about this. And usually they get a lot of love because I feel that people like them too.
Yeah. So that part of your, let's say, business, how long does it take? Because uh,
Mm,
sometimes you get sucked into notes. Last week I
yeah.
had Philip Hofmacher as a
Mm,
guest, who's also connected today,
nice. Yeah.
and he uses notes mainly to promote his business. So
Yeah.
he's extremely methodical. He writes them in batches, and
Yeah.
also tries to spend as little time as possible on a single
Yeah.
note. But to me, it often happens that I want to use notes also as an exercise to write short form content. So I write them, then edit them, then maybe ask ChatGPT, then re-edit,
Yeah.
and so I spend a lot of time on a single note.
Yeah.
In your case, how long do you spend, or if you keep track of that?
I think I do it actually pretty different. I mean, there's no right or wrong. It's just how I do it. But I
Yeah,
do them more personally. Like I think, when I think of something or if I want to share something to connect with people, I just post it. And then it takes like a minute or less, because it's really just like
yeah,
what is in my head. So it doesn't require a lot of
perfect.
planning or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to David McLeroy, and I think most of his notes follow the same pattern. He
Yeah.
thinks of something and then polishes it a bit, and then publishes it.
Yeah.
There was a yeah. Tell me.
Yeah, no, just one thing that I recently changed is I actually asked also because I'm not a native English speaker, and so I often ask ChatGPT to make my English sound better. So I write it kind
Yeah,
of like in my German English, and then I ask it to make it better. But oftentimes, and so I stopped doing that a lot now. Oftentimes, it doesn't make it better; it just makes it really sound more AI and less
yeah.
human. So what I do now is I really just ask it like, hey, keep it the same, like keep my words exactly the same, just really correct the grammar of it if there's
Mhm.
something wrong. And that actually I think helps a lot because people do want to read this human touch to it. And you can actually tell if a note has been written by ChatGPT or not, even if it's just rewritten, but you can tell.
Yeah, or you need very detailed instructions. You have to tell it what not to do, what to keep in.
Yeah,
You need a prompt at least as long as the note
yeah, that's
to
true.
make it human. There was
Yeah.
a question from Naomi, which
Hmm.
is useful to frame the conversation because she asks if you depend fully on Substack subscription earnings. From what I understand, the startup is also a job for you, so maybe you have both.
Yeah, I mean, the startup is also a job totally. That's still alive and running. But I think in terms of Substack, so I can just tell you a bit what I how it's split there for me. And at the moment, it's pretty much shared equally between really just paid newsletter subscriptions, then digital products that I'm selling, like courses and so on,
Hmm.
and coaching and consulting calls. So it's pretty much those three incomes. Yeah.
Okay, and coaching and consulting comes from Substack too.
Yeah, yeah, that comes from Substack.
Ah, great.
So those three things are purely based on Substack. And it's funny because I actually, when I started, I never, I thought about like digital products and so on, but I never really thought about starting coaching or consulting so
Yeah.
early on. But then people starting like I think it was in September, so something like 5 or 6 months into my journey, they started asking me if it's possible to jump on a call to just pay for it, and yeah, and then I realized it's something I really like. It's yeah, it brings me fun and joy, and so yeah, that's how
Ah,
that's
that's
how it
great.
started.
Okay. Okay. So it's not, I was going to ask, how do you keep the balance? But maybe if you just enjoy it, it's not a problem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's not a problem for me.
Ah, great, great.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with the time zone difference? Or do you have, or are you lucky and have only clients from your time zone?
No, I don't, but that's actually, I mean, that's really logistics. I mean, it's not so hard to make it work. I have a few people from the US, from Europe.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's not a problem
no
usually.
problems. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I was asking because I was wondering. I had some time zone issue just to make simple conversations with other creators. So I
Oh
was
yeah.
wondering what could happen with clients, but maybe it was just those cases, those specific cases. And I have the question that every writer asks: what about the tools you use in your writing life, for
Mhm.
writing or for planning, for, I don't know, working with your clients?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm pretty. I don't use anything too crazy. So I use Google Sheets and Google like Excel files to help me plan and keep track of finances and so on. And then I use Miro for coaching
Mm.
calls because I like the
Okay.
yeah, I like the
To share the whiteboard.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Miro is like a digital whiteboard, and it's nice because what I like to do is, like usually also when people tell me, their background story, what they want to do, like while they say it, they can see me summarizing it on the whiteboard, and they appreciate that. And sometimes then, they ask me like to share screenshots or so on of that, because it helps them, get clarity
Mm.
for themselves. So yeah, I use Miro a lot.
It's interesting. And
Yeah.
for example, the ideation part of writing for some people is hard, both to find ideas and to record them or find them again after recording them. I don't know, 1 month ago. Do you have a process for your ideas, your stories? Maybe if you use them in your writing.
Um, I mean, I usually when I get an idea or just a thought, then I write it down in notes. So I have a MacBook and there's this notes tab. So I work with Mac Apple notes
Yeah,
a lot,
yeah,
and yeah, and they have like a backlog of ideas. So that's how I use them actually.
very
Yeah,
simple. So you have just a long list of ideas.
it's
How
not.
many are there?
Yeah, it's not so many. I think right now, I mean, let me check, but right now I have about like five or six. So it's again also,
Ah,
yeah, so also with posts for newsletters, I usually don't plan them so much in advance. I mean, now I started doing this more like focus month. So February is going to be my first month where I focus really on a topic.
mhm.
But yeah, no, I don't plan that too much in advance actually.
Yeah, but what about the ideas? Yeah, the shower ideas. So
Hmm.
I usually when you start doing this full time or
Yeah,
it becomes a huge part of your life, you keep having ideas for
yeah,
content or for products or for clients. And so
yeah.
how do you or maybe do you save them and how or you just trust that when it's time they'll come up.
No, I save them in Notes or Miro. I mean, if it's clients related, it's mostly I put it in Miro. If it's for
Hmm.
my own notes, I put it in the MacBook Notes thing. And if it's something more long term in terms of planning, then I use the Google Sheets and Google Docs for it.
Okay, okay. And since you don't plan too much in advance, you don't need sophisticated tools to build your content
Yeah.
calendar, right? Yeah.
No,
I, I,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
I think unless you are a mega editorial corporation, you shouldn't have a very long term content calendar because things change so fast.
Yeah.
The platform changes, your audience changes. So
Yeah.
uh,
It's true, and
yeah.
it slows you down a lot, you know. I really think like
Ah,
a lot of people. By the way, for the almost 50 people who are in the chat or who are listening, please feel free to drop any questions you have. We're happy
yeah.
to answer. It's always nice to keep this interactive also between the for the listeners. Um, yeah, no, but it's now I lost my thought what I wanted to say. Um,
I was asking about. I was telling that a long term content calendar is almost useless, and
yeah,
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 you
exactly.
were going to
Yeah.
add something.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I know that I have people who are really, especially when they're starting out on Substack, they spend way too much time on thinking, what tools do I need or what strategy do I need? And then they overthink the strategy 10 times again and again. And honestly, it's just something that, if you start, you will figure it out by doing it. At least of course, there can be some strategy and tools are always great to support you. But if you're really just starting out, it's really learning by doing, at least in my
Yeah,
perspective.
and the starting out part, I think, lasts for a lot, a lot of
Yeah,
time.
that's true. Yeah, yeah,
Probably more than a year. And if you don't
yeah,
publish a lot, even longer, because
yeah,
you don't have enough data. And this is why I asked these questions because
yeah,
um, I'm finding a lot of full-time creators, or at least creators that are really invested in the publication, that
yeah,
actually don't have a huge and complicated system to keep track of everything, while at the same time you see that beginners ask for this. They want the complicated system because it creates the delusion of having control over something that actually you don't have control on. Over
yeah,
so
yeah. That's interesting.
uh,
Yeah. How do
and this
you
is
do?
why yeah, I'm a little more structured, but just because I prefer um, to know that there's some place where I keep having dozens of ideas every day. So I'm putting them in Notion currently,
Yeah,
and I have a Kanban board that
yeah,
tracks the steps of my
yeah,
articles, but
Mm.
just because I'm very used to Notion, so it's not. I don't
Yeah.
spend all my day moving triggers and pushing buttons in Notion, and so this is what worked for me. But I understand that other people who are not technical as me, or just want to spend time creating. They don't want a complicated system. Yeah,
Yeah. I agree. We have another question. How much attention
yeah.
does one give to the concept of first impressions?
Hmm. How do you interpret this, Christopher? If you can tell us more details, I guess first impressions in content like hooks, headlines, and introductions. I can
Yeah. Or maybe also
imagine
at least how I would see read it is also in terms of like those little bio descriptions of your
the
personal
the overall
profile.
branding.
Yeah, the overall branding. And I think my answer to that would be in the beginning. I mean, it is not irrelevant. I think still, like if you're really just starting out, it's always good to just start writing, get into the rhythm, write your notes, write your posts. But eventually, especially those little like descriptions of your profile, they are relevant. So you clarified. I don't want to start and it be so terrible that reputation is screwed before it gets started. I
Mm,
wouldn't worry about that. I think that's
yeah,
actually a worry that a lot of people have, and I think that's overthinking. Like people will probably skim read your things, see if they
yeah.
can relate to you, see if they like it. But nobody will go like, oh my God, this guy, like I will never want to read his things again. That's not, that's usually people don't think or overinterpret it so much into one's writings.
Yeah, and if I can add, if you publish about how you beat children or something like that, that's objectively negative. Obviously, your reputation may be ruined. But usually, the audience forgets for two reasons. One is that they follow so many other creators that if you do something wrong and then they find you a few months later, they just can't remember. And also your following and your subscribers constantly change. You constantly get subscriber disabled or email disabled
Yeah,
notifications from Substack. So in 1 month you'll have dozens new subscribers that don't know what you did in the past. And also, fortunately, uh, humans in general are more kinder to you than you are to yourself. And so when you think you really screwed up, they didn't even notice many times. It happens many times. So and in the beginning, there are so many. You have so few views, so few subscribers that it's not a problem. You are free to experiment.
yeah. I started on
Okay,
preparing.
Christopher says he prepared. Yeah, it's even a better idea if you just publish them. Publish them.
Yeah, that's true. That's really like I think if I had to give out one tip to all the people now listening to this live session is really don't overthink, just get started. I mean, I know there's this, it's always so hard to do this first step because exactly things like this, what if I screw up my reputation, what if nobody reads this, what if people hate it? But it's really it's not the case. And even if it's a process, you will learn, you would get better, and the only way to find out is to really get started.
Thank you for these questions, Christopher. And we have about 10 minutes more with Claudia. So everyone who wants to ask a question, please do it. On the topic of fears and you left you you didn't leave the startup world, but you added Substack. So, did you feel some any kind of resistance in the beginning? Because it's another thing to do. You'll have less time to spend on your startup. No one can say if he or she will succeed when he starts on content. I don't know if you had previous experience with content before starting Substack.
No,
So
no, nothing.
what was going on in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, no, I haven't, I'm really not this classical creator with content. Like,
Yeah,
I've never really been active on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook. I have accounts I am consuming, but I've never been really actively doing things on it. Also not on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatsoever. So Substack has really, I mean, before I started with Substack, I did like 2 months before I started on Medium. But then I didn't really like Medium that much. I didn't see the things that I wanted to see in terms of outcome. So then I really went all in on Substack, um, and yeah, I mean, of course, I think everybody has those initial hesitation, but I think especially in the beginning where you pretty much just write for yourself for a couple of weeks or even months, you just get into the habit of doing it, and then you see the first interactions, and then you see people actually liking what you do and giving you feedback, and then really it
yeah,
becomes this thing where you just think like, hey, this is so, and I think I wrote about a note about this the other day. This it can give you so much energy, and way more energy than I will ever have in a call with an investor, which is more energy draining. And this for me is so energy giving, and I love it, and I love the community part of it, and it's just been a lot of fun.
yeah. So uh, this is a testament in favor of just starting, because when you start, it creates a flywheel that with the feedback you get, or any small sign pushes you on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you keep improving your skills? Do you have some favorite resources, authors, or anything that you go to when you want to improve as a writer or as a business owner?
Yeah, I really find the newsletter and everything that Nicholas Cole is doing very
Mm,
helpful. Usually, I think he's doing, he's covering a lot of things for writers.
yeah,
He's not. I mean, I
yeah,
think if you just want to go for, like really resources, he's like one of the best out there. If you want a more
I
personal
think
touch,
so.
then there are other people. But yeah, I think he's great in terms of how he structures things, how he teaches things. Yeah, so he's one of the guys. If I actually want to change for example, my post structure and layout and the design, then I like to go to him and see what he recommends.
Yeah, yeah. Did you read Snow Leopard, the
No,
book, Nicholas Cole
no,
book? Yeah, I think it's if you don't have time or money for his newsletters, it's the perfect summary for having an overall picture of how to write online. Yeah, Nicholas Cole is not just a great writer, but he also teaches. Is also a good teacher.
yeah, yeah, he
Uh,
really is. Hey, thank you, Francesca. That's a nice comment. That's so it helps to get going if you have a conversation live like this and you wonder like, oh, do people like it or not? But so thank
no, you don't have to wonder. You have to keep going and try to follow the threads that you find interesting. Yeah, but
yeah,
I think we have three times the listeners as the last week. So
yeah.
thank you, Claudia, and thank you everyone who's joined, because it's extremely exciting to do this. In fact, I maybe am talking too fast because I like it so much. I have to slow down.
No, that's
Uh,
perfect. I think what I like about those live sessions is that you actually feel the energy of people talking and so on. So
yeah,
I think it's nice. I think people can feel it.
yeah. I just wish they enable it on PCs, because I love having things on a big screen, and maybe being able to share the screen.
Yeah,
uh,
that's true. Yeah.
so Going back to the initial questions, how long do you spend in total every day on your content business?
Yeah. I would say I can't pinpoint it exactly, but it's for sure a couple hours because one thing that I do a lot is actually, I reply to all the comments, to all the
Hmm.
messages. I reach out to people. And that just takes a lot of time. So there's not so much the content creation, but the community aspect of it, to keep that
Yeah,
alive. Um, that takes time. Yeah. So a few hours.
a few hours. Okay, and uh, it seems from what you described, it seems that things have worked pretty well, and well, people can guess it just by reading your publication. Uh, do you have some fear, something in the back of your mind that tells you that you have to fight against to go
Mhm.
on?
Um, I don't know if to go on, but for sure, one thing that you always think is like, the other side is always greener. So you think like, oh, all
Ah,
these other people, they do so well and they grow so much faster and they're so much more experienced than I am. And I think that's something that I have in my mind, but also not to a crazy degree because I just enjoy what I'm doing so I'm not making myself crazy over it. But that is something. I mean, I write a lot about, don't focus on the numbers, don't focus on the statistics, because I know that
yeah.
I struggle with it because I focus a lot on it. But I know I would do probably mentally better if I wouldn't focus so much on it.
Okay, so it's you feel it, but it doesn't slow you down in a way.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. In fact, I think I could probably be quicker and more efficient in some things. But at the end of the day, this is also something I just enjoy, and I don't want to over ruin it by making it too crazy business focused. I like the community aspect of it so much, and it gives me so much that I don't want to ruin it.
Okay, okay. And how do you, or do you feel the need to manage your energy? For example, taking breaks or taking days off, things like that. Because a problem is when you see good results and then you keep doing more, for example, with community
Yeah.
and notes and maybe publishing more or starting a new publication, and then you burn out and everything crumbles down.
Yeah.
Do you have some tips about managing? Because you look very energetic and happy in a way, if I
Yeah.
can say so.
Really.
So, do you do something intentional as regards energy management?
Yeah, I think it's such a character trait thing, I think it really comes
Ah,
down to your personality. And now this is maybe not the most helpful answer, but I think I've just always had this more personality that I've always watched out for my own workload, for my own work-life balance, for my own energy. I know what gives energy to me. I know what drains it. And I think I'm pretty good at putting myself first. So I know when to stop. I
mm,
wouldn't so I think my risk of running into a burnout now, I say that now, who knows what happens in a few years,
yeah,
but it's pretty low because I don't tend to go for more and overwork and so on. So yeah, I don't know if that's a big help. I think for those people who are or have different personality traits and are just more prone to that, um, it's really focusing on things like, okay, what gives and takes energy from you, because those things are so good
yeah.
indicators of what drains, what is draining you. And if you just focus more on things that give you energy, um, I think that's a good
Yeah.
indicator of burning out eventually.
So you are saying that basically it came naturally to you throughout
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a great actionable answer, but I think it's really just
No, no,
personality.
well,
Yeah.
it's not a problem. So,
Yeah.
how how do you understand that something is giving you energy or is draining you? Uh, I don't know.
Yeah.
After doing it, during while you're doing it.
Yeah, I think after I do it, I mean, because things like this going live is of course always like a little bit, you're nervous and you're like, oh, do people show
A
up?
bit,
Do they
yeah.
like this one? So there, of course, you don't know, but then it's always how you feel afterwards, right? And like those live sessions, for example, I love them. Afterwards, I feel so good and I feel like
Yeah,
connected with
me
people,
too.
and yeah, and so you can feel it. And then I know, for example, if I have like calls with investors or so on, I'm so tired afterwards and so like, oh,
Hmm.
like something I don't want to do again. And so it's really how I feel afterwards if I know like, what
Yeah,
is giving and taking energy.
yeah. And then you take a mental note and try to avoid the things
Yeah,
that drain you. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
sometimes you can't avoid it, of course. Sometimes you have just
Yeah.
to stick to it, but you can try to optimize things, right? You can try to
Hmm.
go more for the things that give you energy and try to minimize the ones that don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or don't put the things that drain you at the beginning of your day and at the beginning of
Yeah,
your week.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That also works. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to be respectful of your time, and I see that there are no new questions. I think there are 64 people here, and I'm so grateful for that, and so happy. But yeah, if you have, I think you have a webinar tomorrow or a workshop
Yeah,
about.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I do because notes are such a great growth engine on Substack, and I love doing notes. I'm actually doing this week on Tuesday and Thursday a notes workshop, so that's coming up.
Yeah, and it will be a general workshop, or will you teach something
Yeah,
particular? Do you have an approach, a different approach, something special?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I really put down, so the workshop is called Substack Notes That Pay. So I analyzed the notes that actually brought me paid subscribers, and
Subscribers.
so I summarized it into the content parts, into like prompts. It's also going to be a live session where we just actively work together on notes. I will give feedback and so on. So yeah, that's what it's going
Great.
to be.
And if someone wants to join, where do they have to go?
They have to go to my publication website, and then there's like in the menu bar, there's the link to the Notes That Pay workshop.
Okay, perfect. Okay, do you have any final invitation or something you want to say to all the people connected?
Yeah, no, just thank you for showing up, and don't be shy to do those live sessions. They are so fun. I've never been online or live in my life before, so new to me as well. But it's really fun, and it helps people to to put a face behind all the writing. So try it
Yeah.
out. Great.
Okay, thank you. And thank you again for the 65 people that stayed connected until the end. And yeah, I hope we will have new chances to work together in the future. Yeah, goodbye and have a nice, I don't know, evening. I don't know what time. Oh, no, a
Good
morning
day.
for you. Yeah,
Yeah.
midday.
Yeah.
Okay,
Perfect. Thank
goodbye.
you so much. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.